Welcome, adventurers. Here's what happened last time on the Incorrigible party.
With the battle quickly getting out of hand for the party, the tides turning in favor of Erica, Chucky, and Sardo, the cacophony of rolling thunder and the brilliance of lightning strikes lancing across the sky momentarily cease. Through a part in the clouds, a divine intervention swoops down in the form of 4 Pegasi. Seeking hope, the party continues to fight their way to the noble mounts, using every bit of their strength they have left to attempt an escape.
And now, on with the show. That boy, William. He stung the life right out of him.
I mean, I did 50-something damage,
let's not
but I mean,
get into
that's
semantics.
not... Yeah.
I shall run around this backside, around the dead body of Sardo, past William the Wasp, give him a high five on my way by,
Boom,
to
boom.
Dreg, who I will bend over and lay on hands for my one last point of health.
Unfortunately, escaping the grapple was your action.
Ah, crap. Okay, I will do all that without the lay on hands, grab Dreg, and drag him to, if I can, drag him to the last Pegasus.
Drag him.
I'm gonna drag.
Yeah, you don't have much movement left, but you and Dreg's body can definitely get to the unmounted Pegasus left, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've got a hand on him, you're sitting there ready to grab him and hop onto this horse.
Yes. But putting himself, I am protecting him still from anything else that might attack us. He's going to be behind me.
Absolutely. Mia, you're up. Hammer still out there, storm still raging above.
I know. How does Erica look?
Erica looks very bad.
Yeah, Do I feel like these Pegasus, came from Thor? Do I have a feeling?
Their saddles are emblazoned with Thor's symbol. Yes.
Exactly.
You
Okay.
100%.
So it's very much like, I got someone upstairs looking out for me. I'm gonna be okay. I see Dreg being dragged by Shikara. I'm standing next to my mount. It just takes movement to get up on
Half
it,
your
right?
movement
Not
to get on,
actions.
yeah.
So let's get on the Pegasus next to me. I'm gonna call lightning. Like I've never called lightning before onto Erica. And see where that gets me.
Smoke her ass.
We're gonna try. Let's see. Also, I realized in the meantime I wasn't using my reaction, which is my bad. It's like, I have too much to remember.
Oh yeah, you have a lot of stuff. So she gets a 14 for her dexterity saving throw.
Okay, so it was a 16 DC, so
Okay.
she takes 5d10.
Nice.
Ooh.
And that gives me 27 lightning damage.
Again, your control over the mastery of this storm. This lightning lances down into Erica, and I forgot her Catoblepus, which also fails. They both take...
Actually, I call it to a 5 foot. Like, I can get Cat 1 and Cat 3.
It also fails. So 2 Catoblepus and Erica take 27 damage. The Catoblepus are fine.
Okay.
I mean, not fine, but they're... Sardo's mount looks okay. Erica's, its thick, furry, brown legs almost start to buckle under Erica's weight, but it stays on its feet. Erica, however, her remaining right arm and the crystal, she throws them out as this lightning lances into her chest. Her crystalline arm shatters, explodes, and her body smashes to the stone floor.
Yes!
Shikara is not
my
going to
bonus action.
That's what I was just thinking.
You know what though? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. When I mounted the Pegasus was cool with me, right?
Finally meets her.
You
maker.
had no problem getting on the Pegasus.
My bonus hammer is gonna take a swing at Chucky.
What? Well, he didn't do anything. He's just sitting in the bathroom with it.
What do you mean?
I never liked Chucky.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
That's a 26 to hit.
That hits, yeah.
6 force damage.
Okay.
I rolled a 1. So lame. I rolled so many 1s in this fight. Man! Thor's the bomb. Oh. I know that's aging me, but...
Dreg makes a death saving throw. He passes. Attaboy, Dreg.
Nice.
Can take the wizard out of the magic, but can't take the magic out of the wizard.
That's right.
Also, it was only half my movement to mount that Pegasus, so I would assume my Pegasus flew like 45
Oh
feet
yes,
or
you
something.
can like ask it also to well, it's not anybody. You can get it to move. You can get it to dash. It could. So if you wanted to take flight, it absolutely can. You have no problem. You do not have to make an animal handling check to get it to go.
It's gone, but like within range of maintaining my spells for the moment.
Okay, you can
know
put
what
it
I mean?
up. Like Falsey's like 90 feet up in the air. You can go up and fly around him if you like.
As long as I can still call my lightning.
You are still well within 120 foot range of it. Yeah. Okay, so Drag's good. Shaft, you're up.
Is my mount now freed?
Yes, your Pegasus is no longer restrained.
Okay, I'm going to reach down into my pouch, chuck my potion of greater healing.
Ooh.
That's not bad. That's I regain 19 points of health,
Very nice. Very nice.
and then I will tell the mount to go up there 90 feet. Say, take off, let's go.
You can have it disengage, right? You can dash, disengage, or dodge if you wanted to, because it's still
Yep.
next to the Catoblepus, so you can definitely have it disengage and get up there with Falsey and Mia.
Absolutely, disengage.
Okay. So, sorry, what was your alignment? You're neutral, right?
I am chaotic neutral.
Okay. Can you make me an animal handling check, please?
I will.
I think Emily looks
16.
worried.
You are fine. It also heeds your command and flies up into the air.
Emily, if Shaft is good, you'll be fine.
What happened to Mia saving Drake?
I got him.
Shakara dragged her,
Right.
dragged Dreg. So why like tug of war with the man? Like,
So Sardo's
No,
mount
I'm gonna
now.
save him.
I killed Erica, so she's like, I gotta.
I need bonus points with these Pegasi, damn it.
This Blepus, this Catoblepus of Sardos, now seeing its master dead, it just turns and it begins to flee. It's taken some serious damage. It's not an intelligent beast like these Pegasi.
Am I close enough for an opportunity attack?
No. Actually, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you absolutely can if you'd like. It is retreating.
Of course I would like.
A beast
That's a 20
retreating
24.
under command of another entity. That definitely hits.
It's only 6 points of damage.
Alright, not enough to kill it. Just give it old sword slash on its hindquarters. Chucky. Wow. Chucky. He's like looking up at Shaft, 90 feet in the air on this flying horse. Ah! Get down here, Shaft! And, you know, he's going to follow Sardo's mount and... No. Actually, he's going to... Jeez, man. What the hell would Chucky do here? He's going to go over to Erica's body. And you see him, like, stripping the harness from her dead body, with which the arm came out.
No!
And he snags it. And then we'll take the Blepus back its movement, following Sardos' fleeing mount. Can't make it too far, though. It's eating up a lot of movement. Back to the top. Erica's mount is actually going to do the same thing as Sardos. Now that Erica's dead, it just also flees, taking its dash.
Kill Chucky and get that crystal arm, kids.
Falzarin. Up in the air.
He said I'm 90 feet in the air.
Yep.
I think that should be no problemo. I am going to cast Eldritch Blast down at Chucky.
Okay.
And 19 to hit for the first one.
That one does hit, yep.
And 12 to hit for the second.
The second misses.
3 points of force damage.
As you activate these bestowed powers from Isabella Good, again your scabula atop this Pegasi begins to burn. And the
Bill,
Pegasi,
what were you thinking?
the Pegasi bucks under your weight and
gonna
it starts to squirm. Can you make me a dexterity saving throw,
No.
please?
Oh, Bill. With advantage, right? Do you have any inspiration?
Oh, right, +0 because I suck.
Use a warlock spell.
15.
A 15 is exactly what you needed to stay on this Pegasus.
I would recommend not using any of your powers given to you by Isabella again.
Eldritch
while you're
Blast
on
is so
the horse.
good.
Bill,
Apparently it's not.
90 feet of falling damage
Yeah, I'd
would
be
kill you.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
That's the way to go. Using your scapular.
Hey, if you gotta go out, you gotta go out using that scapula. That's right.
So stupid.
Oh, Shakara, the only one left on the ground. It seems the immediate vicinity has no opponents drawing or bearing down on you. What would you like to do?
This is what I want to do, and then I want you to tell me whether you'll let me do it or not.
Okay.
I want to.
The answer is no.
She didn't even say
Kidding.
Lay on hands to Drag for that final point of health that I have, then walk over to Erica and stab her in the back.
snap.
Okay, I will let you do that.
Make sure.
As it's very
not?
clear
In the
that
face.
your opponents are fleeing, we can almost drop out of initiative, but let's play out this final round. I will let you do that. Dreg breathes back into life as he sits up, kind of coughing and sputtering some of the rain that's been in his mouth that's left agape from his death rolls, but he's alive and conscious. And yes, you approach Erica's body, so you literally flip her over to specifically stab her in the back.
Is she's laying on her back right now?
Yes.
I'm not going to flip her. She's laying there. I'm going to slowly walk over to her, look at her, pick up my sword, and jab it in her heart.
And there is no response from her body as you do so. But you definitely strike true, piercing her body. You can hear the glint and twang of the other end of your sword hitting the rock out her back.
Put my foot on her, pull my sword back out, look over at Chucky to make sure he's still running,
He's still going.
walk back to Drag and the Pegasus.
Okay. Dreg will stand up and get on this remaining Pegasus. Mia, you're up. What are you doing here?
I'm up in the air. Do I have to move in order to call lightning, or can I call lightning?
No.
from where I'm at?
You can definitely call lightning.
So, this is gonna sound kind of weird because I'm after everyone's dead, busting it out. But I'm going to Radiant Soul. I'm gonna sprout my wings and transform into my form, my true form. Because for 1 minute as a bonus action, I can fly, which I don't need, but I get the extra 8 radiant damage on my targets.
Ah, okay.
So I'm going to... Oh, it's an action to do that.
Your weapon's still down there. Your spiritual weapon's still down there.
I know, but my storm is so powerful. How far does Chucky move each time he moves?
Well, you saw the Catoblepus that fled without him used its dash to move 60 feet.
Just hit him with your lightning. Don't worry about flying. Just
Yeah, that's not... Okay, let's work... Okay. Reverse. Rewind. Okay, so from up in the air, I can still use my Call Lightning, so I'm going to Call Lightning on Chucky and his Catoblepus. Both of them have to make a dex save.
They are both going to fail.
26 damage. And then, if he's still standing, I'll take my Spiritual Hammer to him.
Oh yeah, he's still up. He looks fine. Both him and his mount look pretty good.
Yeah, we didn't hit him forever.
Yeah.
It's a 28 to hit.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? It's 9 damage.
Yeah, your hammer
9
smashes into him
force.
and kind of, rebounds off of his coral armor, but he's still up. And his mount is still moving.
With my lightning, he would have fallen off. Sorry,
Okay.
I should have said that. Because with my divine strike, Sorry, that's not my divine trick. My thunderbolt strikes. So when I deal lightning damage, which would have been my call lightning, to a large or smaller creature, you can push them up to 10 feet away. I would choose to push them 10 feet away from each other.
No, I believe it says away from you, does it not?
Away from you. Okay, fine. So they're still on mount. Okay.
Yeah, they both kind of get pushed. But I will make him make a dexterity check to try to stay on as he is shunted.
Okay.
Which he does not do very well. So yes, he does come off of the mount.
Sweet.
Falling prone, basically. Shaft, up in the air. What do you want to do?
So I'm going to be flying over Chucky as he falls off and falls onto the ground prone. I'm going to take my legs and wrap them around the harness. And then
The reins,
take the longbow, try to fly over top, and try to put a couple arrows down into Chucky.
All right. Poor guy.
He doesn't have to do acrobatics for that?
That is
Just
22 to hit,
Yeah.
and that's only going to be 7 points of damage. And the second one, that's a 23 to hit. That's a little better. That's 10 points of damage.
Yeah, both arrows hitting into his armor. He's still alive. Okay, so I guess he is at the bottom of the initiative. So he's going to stand up, have his move to get back on. And the Bleepus dashes for 60 feet. So we can fall out of initiative, but of course, Mia's storm is still going. Shaft may want to pursue and Chucky, which obviously on the Pegasi, way faster than Chucky can move. Eventually, though, in another round, Chucky will get out of the range of your storm, though, because your storm does not move, right? I don't believe that it does. So you can for sure hunt him down. It's basically just a matter of how many rounds and how close you will be to the city to do so.
Yeah, I think it's in my best interest to pummel poor Chucky with arrows.
It says that the storm cloud appears in a cylinder.
Yeah, so his storm does not move.
On a point I can see, but I'm just saying in previous episodes we thought it was like following me through the city of
you said that, but it never actually did it. So no, your storm stays
All right.
where you are. It's like it works the same like Dreg's globe of invulnerability. It doesn't move with him, right? It just radiates 10 feet from him and stays where he casts it. So, Shakara, you're going to want to get on this Pegasus and get up in the air with the rest of them?
I am going to... I don't believe I am anything other than good. But I am... got something in the back of my head saying otherwise.
But you wouldn't know we're doing these checks.
But I would know that they came from Thor.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll put my hand on the Pegasus, see what it does, and kind of pet it a little bit.
It stirs at your touch.
Normally, like a normal horse would.
Yeah.
And I'll attempt to get on.
Okay. You can make me a dexterity saving throw as it rears up as you climb on it.
That's a 16.
So you hop into the saddle, grab the harness as it rears back. Dreg does not make the check. He falls off of the horse. But you stay on and are able to keep a hold as it falls back to the ground, and kind of its hooves start to stomp the floor a little bit as it settles with you on top of it. It almost seemed like it was an involuntary action of the beast when this happened.
I said, "Whoa, calm down. It's okay. It's okay."
And Dreg gets back up. A little confused, he hops back on. There's no problem for him to get up on it.
Okay, it's okay with me being on it?
You've made it on it, yep.
Okay,
So she's the only person you didn't ask her alignment.
Well, I know what her alignment is.
he
I-
knows what my
I
alignment
actually
is.
was unsure of. I didn't ask what yours was. Me, I know what both of your characters, but I knew there was some type of neutrality, whether it's chaotic or otherwise, with Valdrin and Shaft.
No, Falsey's good.
All right.
Sure.
Sure. Sure, he says. Keep telling yourself that, Bill.
So, do you want it? You're trying to spur it to take off?
Yes.
All right, you can make me an animal handling check with disadvantage.
Ooh. Damn it, the first roll was a lot better. That's a total of 12.
12 is the number you needed to spur the Pegasus into action, and it takes flight. Now the 5 of you, I suppose, are all up into the air, and the battle is kind of settling. Shaft with intent to chase Chucky. But your eyes are now kind of drawn to the encampment from this vantage point up high, and you see now the result of the activity of which was clearly spurred by Erica's rage and her cries as you were fleeing her tent. And you can see at the summoning pools clusters of cultists. They're now pouring more and more barrels of the black goo inside of it. You see a cultist at the edge of each pool has their throat slit, gouts of their blood adding to the black and red swirls of the pools. The sacrificer just lets them go, and their bodies sink into these whirlpools. And kind of at the closest one, that would be closest to like the storage tent that you saw Thunder run off to, you see a giant weasel being sacrificed and thrown into the pool.
No!
Suddenly, like as if a volcanic eruption, these twisting dark green vines blast from the pool's thick, like 15-foot around thickness of these vines, reach up. 3 of them start to spread onto the dome. At each of the tips, they split off into smaller vines as it's like these tendrils reaching out and grabbing along the safety dome. What do you want to do?
I can't in good conscience let Chucky creep back into my life yet again. So while I've got the definitely advantage of height and I can pot shot some arrows into his skull, I'm going to continue to do that until I see anything that might pose some kind of a threat.
The rest of you? Mia, what do you want to do? You've got another, I'll say you got like 2 more blasts of this storm before Chucky gets out of its range. So you can aid Shaft if you wanted to also to take out Chucky.
Yeah, I was thinking I would aid Shaft. I'm particularly interested in this arm that he took from Erica.
Okay.
I think our party could use something like that, so I'll call lightning on him.
Okay. Shakara, what are you doing?
I imagine I have my hands full controlling the Pegasus and keeping Drag on the horse.
Drag has his arms tightly wrapped around your strong dragonborn waist. Yes.
That I don't have any ranged weapons, and I don't have any healing left.
Again, we're not an initiative, so if you wanted to split from what they're doing and do something on the ground, you absolutely can, right? Like, this is the time. We'll just be doing all simultaneously kind of thing.
I do want... How close are we to the camp?
From up here, it looks like you're about half a mile or so.
I just want to... That's where I'm headed. I want to scout out what's going on with the camp. That's what I'm doing.
Falzarin.
How far would I be from Chucky and his mount?
You were all kind of flying like 90 feet above him, basically. Like the extent of the movement of the Pegasus. Pegasus. So you also want to aid in destroying the innocence of Chucky?
I think Chucky's innocence was destroyed a long time ago.
When he became a stormtrooper.
Finally, I'm glad someone noticed that stormtrooper token for Chucky.
I noticed, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, so if the intent is to hunt down Chucky, that is fine. We don't need any rolls. You have the advantage. Lightning raining down, arrows raining down. If Falzarin, you want to expend some spell slots, though, we will track that depending on what you want to do, or if you're going to cantrip them.
I would just use cantrips.
Okay.
I was thinking
Eldritch
about
Blast
getting
again?
That is a good spell.
It does.
For the sake of keeping track of who deals the death blow, though, I mean...
No, we're not going to roll out the damage.
We know Mio would do it. Okay, fine.
Let me see. What's the... Okay, so Firebolt would work. It's 120 feet. That's why I picked Eldritch Blast, because it's such a long... All
right, here's what we're going to do. Falzarin, roll me damage for Firebolt.
See whose damage wins.
This is all going to get cut out. We're going to roll the damage. We're going to cut out actually going through it, and then we'll give you, listener, the verdict of who lands the killing blow. We are still moving in initiative.
Why would you say you, listener, if you're going to cut this out?
Because that snarky comment is now getting cut out. That's the cut point. So thank you. I was waiting for you to say something sassy.
That means it's going to be left in.
6 fire damage.
Okay, Hydratia.
Such
Next
a-
is Shakara, who has no range. Mia, you are next in initiative with the lightning bolt, so just roll your damage.
Is he going to do a dex check?
Roll your damage. Do what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Well,
I like
Hydratia?
this.
He can't get away, so...
26.
Right? This is why we don't need to do this if you were whining about the final blow. Shaft, you're up.
11 points of damage. Second, that would be another 10.
Back to the top with Falsey.
5 fire damage. And Chucky goes down.
And Mia with the last remaining 17 points he has left.
I rolled 17.
Wow. And Mia's lightning second strike, just as he's getting out of the range of your storm, blasts into Chucky and his mount, killing them both. Okay.
Thank
You've
you.
murdered poor innocent Chucky, who never got a single break in the entirety of his hunched-backed life. What
I
now?
don't think that's quite true.
I mean,
Oh, that's entirely true. You don't know the shit Chucky's seen.
No.
But
now
that
he was
armor,
carrying.
though.
He was carrying the. What did you call it that Erica had on?
So if you want to, so Mia wanted to get the harness so she can swoop down. Are you all landing now to?
To be honest, I want to look at his armor, but anyway.
Sure. No, you can also do that. Absolutely. So. Okay, we can do that, but we can incorporate it into some type of short rest, if that's what you want to do. Is there something you want to do immediately about the vines? What is the course of action? You can see them very quickly spreading up the dome, but it does look like their birth, for lack of a better term, out of the pools has slowed down significantly, as they are still creeping, and you can physically see them moving and covering the dome, but it's a very large dome. They got a lot of ground to cover, and you see it's still just tendrils that are just branching off of each other into smaller and smaller tendrils, trying to interlace over each other and basically completely cover the dome. So think of it as like all these different varying crisscrosses of fairly thin lines as far as the surface area of the dome goes, trying to completely fill it in. So you do have some time.
So I'm going to yell, "Let's land down there by dead Chucky. Let's see if we can come up with a solution for these damn vines that are growing. Maybe one of the books has something in it." And I swoop down and land next to Chucky.
I will follow his lead. I say, "Noble steed, let's land for a moment."
We're kind of going to forego some of these animal handling checks. For the time being, it seems like the Pegasi are okay with the riders and the actions in which they want to take on them. So you land and you want to look over Chucky's body.
Yes, like we all do.
So he has the 2 whips that he was wielding, and that dark red, pinkish hued coral armor that, like, if you look at him again, it's very form fitting. It was very clearly tailored to his body.
Yeah.
And of course, kind of now lying on the ground next to an open hand that was gripping the harness that Eric was wearing, it's laying on the ground.
I want to pick up those whips and take a look at them.
Sure, you can grab them. So there's these coils, this black. It kind of looks like, it feels and looks like leather, but they are this dark black. And again, on the inside of them, where the inside of the curl, in which you see that they kind of have this natural curl to them. You can easily furl them out and see these barbed, almost like fangs or kind of these hooks on the inside of it. And you kind of give your wrist a flick, and it curls right back up. Be able to be stowed very easily.
Very nice. Okay, I'll take
Nice.
those and step back.
I want to inspect his armor. I'm intrigued by how it covers his hump, and like wondering if it just ends up form-fitting to whoever's wearing it, you know, just kind of inspecting it for like magic. I mean, I guess I could cast a ritual for detect magic.
If you'd like, you can.
Sure.
Okay, so that's going on with 10 minutes. What else is happening in these 10 minutes? Are we taking a short rest?
That would be my plan, yeah.
Yeah, let's start the clock,
should.
I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can
I
definitely
would
do
like
that.
to. I think I have all the books in my bag of holding, don't I?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
you do.
So I will rummage through my bag of holding and try to find.
And don't touch Danzig.
Yes, giving Danzig a wide berth with my hand. And I will try to find.
Forgot he was in there.
Feet first.
Body bag of holding. So I will pull out the. I think it was Cosmology of the Prime Material is the book that we're looking for, and
That sounds
see
right.
if I can find a passage that would give us some information about these vines.
Okay, about the infinity vines. All right. Shakara, what are you doing during anything in particular during the short rest?
I think I would just be impatient and wanting to get to the camp to try and figure out what's going on, and I probably would be asking Drag what we can do.
In regards to...
What can we do about these vines? How long do we have till the dome comes down?
Well, I mean, like I said, I hope Falzarin can find some more information in this book from Alamar's library. I can't tell how long we have. I do hope the casters in which I've trained, they will feel the pressure of the vines in their casting. They may be able to reinforce themselves and their own will to give us more time outside. But I have not prepared them for something like this. I may have failed them again.
I do not believe you have failed anyone. It is because of you that we are all here.
Thank you, but I truly believe it is because of the four of you that Heraklion still stands.
Falzarin, where is that book with the conversations?
I have it right here. You're free to look at it, Shakara. And I reach into my bag of holding and peruse it. Give it to Shakara.
I want to try and look through that some.
Shaft, are you wanting to inspect these whips?
Yeah, I want to take a closer look at them.
Okay, great. So that will take the course of your hour, right? So if you have hit dice left to roll, you can go ahead and do so. Anyone that will regain their hit points, spell slots on a short rest, you will get your short rest. Mia, 10 minutes in, though, your detect magic very clearly picks up magic from this entire armor set. The whips that are in Shaft's hands that he's looking over as well.
Okay. And that arm, like the satchel, right?
Thank you. And, of course, the harness that Erica was wearing.
Alright, so I'm going to try to take the armor off him.
Yeah, and
Put it on?
it looks like it doffs very much like a standard set of plate armor. As you peel it back, it doesn't change shape at all. It maintains the form that seems to fit Chucky's body. You know, you reveal now his bare unmoving hunch from his corpse.
Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of platinum in there?
No, there's no platinum. In fact, you find negative coppers. You all owe me 50 gold now.
Alright, well, I will very cautiously, after taking off my armor, put that armor on within this hour.
As you try, it's incredibly ill-fitting. It doesn't change to fit you. It doesn't feel. It feels incredibly uncomfortable to wear. As you yourself in it, just the way it's strapped and to contort yourself, you have to contort your own body to get into it. You are hunched way forward inside of it to even be able to wear it. And how he managed to move and really use it, clearly an indication of just how used to he is of his own body, right? Like, it's still he's dealt with the mechanics of his deformity for his entire life, kind of thing.
Oh, it's useless. And I spend the whole hour doing that.
Well, yeah, it'll take you 10 to pry it off of him, and like 10 to take yours off, another 10 to put it back onto you, another 10 to put yours back on. So pretty much Yeah.
Yeah.
Frick.
But you
Okay.
still do get your short rest, though. So you can roll hit dice, you gain back your divinities, whatever, right? Falzarin, looking through your book over the course of this hour, you do find information on the Infinity Vines. And it's not much. It doesn't seem like there is very much known, but like Dreg kind of mentioned, their natural habitat is wild space, and that's where they flourish. You find a passage saying that the reason that's where you can find them, where you can only find them, is as soon as they get into any type of atmosphere, they begin to wither and wilt, as they can't sustain themselves for very long in any type of oxygenated environment. And kind of comparing this passage to what you have witnessed in the growth and the rapidness of the growth, it seems that they're clearly having trouble now that they're free, and more of it gets exposed to the atmosphere. The growth rate is reducing because of the atmosphere. Shaft, your whips. They function, they're like finesse like a normal whip would be, so you could potentially dual wield both of them. They have a +8 to hit.
Okay.
They deal 2d4 plus 5 slashing, and the target has to make a contested grapple check, which would be contested with your athletics. If the target is grappled, you can then use a bonus action to send like this, that pulse that you saw, to deal 2d12 poison damage to the grappled target.
Nice.
And again, they can spend their action to make a contested grapple check to escape.
Okay.
To escape.
Don't change now, Leland.
There you go. Never let anyone change.
Shakara, this book with the enormous amounts of tiny writing, cover to cover inside of it. Where are you beginning? At the beginning?
Towards the end.
Towards the end. There's a lot of inane conversations, right? It's every conversation that anybody within Heracleon has ever had in the past 3 years. There's a lot of stuff there. And it seems to be strangely limited to the city limits. Like, there are a few names that you would recognize, obviously, like names of the elders, some conversations between some elders. You find note of an instance in only about 6 months ago or so that Geneva left the keep, went down to the port, but then continuing your read pages afterwards, there's no record of any subsequent conversations that she would have had at the port. So you can kind of put together, like, there seems to be some type of blind spot, right? So you're not getting everything. You're getting everything within the city walls, it seems like, basically. You can certainly surmise that much. But yeah, there's a lot of writing in here, and you don't seem to glean very much. Is there maybe specific names that you are kind of maybe, glossing over it? You know how you kind of skim read a little bit? Is there something maybe specific that you want to keep track of?
Alstoff and Alamar and Isabella.
Okay, great. Well, actually, right at the very end, the very, very last page, about halfway through, you do see a conversation between Isabella and Alstoff. And it seems to have taken place during that initial siege, in which you helped repel the invaders and get this shell back up. And it does seem that Isabella immediately fled to Alstoff's to seek refuge when the city was under attack. And as far as any, specifics or, smoking guns, I don't know what you would think would be a smoking gun, but, they clearly have a relationship. There's clearly this, hierarchy, as if, almost like Alstoff works, quotations, works for Isabella, but clearly Isabella commands Alstoff. Alstoff will listen to what Isabella requests of him. That kind of thing.
Okay. It's actually what I was expecting.
Yeah, so you just judging by what the record here, you know that
Isabella's probably at Alstoff's.
Right, and was during the siege. I mean, you find the conversation that Shaft and Alstoff had too when you were outside of his shop, right, yelling through the door. You find all this record of what you all were saying as well.
Okay. Anything about Alamar and looking for his potion?
Near the end of the book, no. You actually do find a passage though, because of that morning. You recall Geneva telling you how angry Alamar was, and you find like the writings of him being frustrated with other people, as if he's by himself, unless he speaks out loud to himself, the book doesn't capture that record kind of thing. But yeah, you clearly can see the frustration in some of the very curt and almost overblown at the slightest kind of inconvenience right at that time that Alamar was going through. Is clearly he had many other things on his mind and was pissed off about a lot of things, that kind of thing. And oh yes, so you're kind of in this general time frame, right around where the siege happened. You find a passage of Geneva speaking to Gundar in the lecture hall, it seems, just given by some of the context, how she comes and asks him how his lecture went and that kind of thing, and then a quick exchange, like the conversation almost like abruptly ends, and then there's an exchange between Geneva and like a Deep Scion lackey, like another Heracleonian, about getting to the anchor point kind of thing. And then quickly after, there's a similar conversation to Sybil, as if she's coming in and like distracting the two of them while the other Deep Scions can like get them and gank them, basically, kind of thing, right? So you're just all these things that happen, but confirmation, right? But again, around that same time, there doesn't seem to be any conversation with Alamar taking part at all. So very clearly, again, kind of being able to tell that it's within the city walls, he very clearly either wasn't in the city at all during this time or wasn't speaking to a single person, which seems unlikely given his status in Heraklion.
Well, and Drag did tell us that he saw him at the port. That would have been around that same time.
Exactly, that's right. Obviously, there's a lot of information here that could be gleaned, and an hour gives you only so much, right?
Right. I'm going to keep the book. I'm not going to give it back to Falzarin.
Okay. Suck on that, Falzarin.
So evil of you.
The Pegasus
He's
bucks you off.
distracted and doesn't notice.
Short rest is over.
So I envision you sitting there deciding what spells you want to prepare, right? As I'm looking at the whips and we're all sort of sitting there together. And as we're talking about what our next thing we're going to do, that might help you decide on what spells you want to take.
That's very, very true.
I also, those whips too do require attunement, and you can attune to both of them as a pair, so they don't.
That's good.
Two of them won't take up 2 slots. You can one slot to use both of them.
Okay. What's the plan?
Yes, these vines. With Falzarin's reading, how can we take advantage of this?
Well, I have learned a bit. We might be able to use it to our advantage. I don't know. These vines, they're not very fond of being in our atmosphere. It seems, from what I understand, that they thrive in the wild space, and because they're now being exposed to our atmosphere, that is why they aren't spreading and growing quite so rapidly. It says that they wither when they're exposed to air, I assume.
Fantastic. There's air all over the place.
Blow on them?
We don't have to worry about these at all.
Well, it doesn't seem to affect them enough to completely stop what's happening. I don't know
We have to cut them off from the summoning pools.
Yes, that would probably do the trick. Well, I think whatever's in the summoning pool is allowing them to be able to thrive enough that they're counteracting the effect of atmosphere.
Is it like a portal and they're pulling it through from someplace else?
I don't know.
Fortunately, there's only about 200 cultists between us and them.
That's the problem. I don't think we stand a chance to go in there and try and make it to the summoning pools and cut these vines in the state that we're in right now.
Well, perhaps we can slow their growth enough for them to perish.
How?
I'm not the damage dealer here.
I don't know much about plants, but I think you kill them with the root.
That's true.
Perhaps.
I suppose if we can fly with these marvelous beasts, we could perhaps do something from the air. The only issue is if there are any within the camp that would be able to target us from that distance, we would be in trouble.
But from the air, we could shoot fire.
We can.
And lightning.
But we won't be impervious if there are any people on the ground who are perhaps archers or spellcasters that are able to fight at range, that could hit us.
And the cannons. I forgot about the cannons.
Yes, they do have the cannons, but the city's quite large. I mean, the dome stands nearly 150 feet at its tallest point. I mean, we could surely get there. Fly higher than their cannons can fire and come back down. We would have to go through this storm, it seems. But I think we should take a closer look at what is happening at the top of the dome.
I am open for that. I think we should be relatively safe up there, where we'll be far away from this small army outside the city gates.
What are you worried about, Drake?
We have more knowledge from the book, but I am more of a hands-on kind of wizard. I would like to inspect them myself. I've never seen an Infinity Vine.
Yes, we could go up. You're right, Dreg. If they've already started to climb their way across this dome, and they're far enough away from the army that we could go and inspect the vines without being in range of anyone on the ground. If we use these Pegasi to fly.
I believe it's pronounced Pegasus, but good try.
Right. I apologize, Drake. Yes, that sounds like a good enough plan to me. I don't have an alternative plan in mind, so unless anyone else does.
Mayhaps Drag should ride with either Falzarin or Shaft.
Yes, that's a good point. I saw that your steed seems to be a little bit
just so
skittish.
that there isn't as much weight on one horse.
Oh, right.
You can ride with me,
Right,
pal.
Shakara.
Unless someone objects, I'll take this arm that Erica was wearing. This armor that Chucky was wearing is useless.
I don't want it.
I have no use for it.
I don't know that I want it either, but it's something I don't want them to have.
That's
so
a good
I'll take
point.
it.
I mean, if we leave it here, there's the possibility that someone comes along and puts it to use against us.
So you're just gonna put it in your bag?
I'm not gonna put it on. It's been an hour, and
Before we leave, I want to take out that silver disc that we found in the tent and just take a look at it and see if I can figure out what it is or what it does.
Sure. Looking at it, it is incredibly smooth. The edge of it tapers off to nearly a point. It's still rounded along the edge. It kind of looks like a discus, almost. That's about the size of what it is. It doesn't seem like there are any types of markings or even any creases in it, as if it is a solid piece.
Okay. I just, sort of throw it up in the air a little bit, spin it around, see if anything happens with it as I investigate.
Nothing happens with it as you're playing with it.
I'll go, "Hey, Falzarin, catch!" And I throw it over to him.
So I grab it. As I'm examining it, could I make an Arcana check to see if it seems to have any magical properties I can?
Yeah, you can try.
15.
There's clearly some type of magic within it, but it currently appears to be inert.
Well, Shaft, there's something unique about this. Somehow it could potentially have some power. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. I wouldn't throw it away. I think it's special.
No, throw it back. Just don't throw it too high.
So
can I look at it?
Sure.
I suppose. So I throw it to Mia.
Mia, as you touch it, can you roll me a Constitution saving throw, please?
Uh-oh.
I'm next to Shakar, right? So that's a 13.
You feel like there's this spark as you catch it into your hand, but it jumps from you into it, and you feel your HP is drained by 5 points as this lightning kind of lances into it. It still, like, it doesn't react in any other way, but it seems to like drain some of this electrical power from you.
Huh.
I wanted to do a check to see if I recognized it from like any of the Niyogi stuff. Like if it was like a spaceship key.
Like a history check.
Sure, you could do a history check, yeah.
That's what I was thinking of, but that's an 18.
You, in your brief time in that Niyogi ship over a year ago, it doesn't remind you of any of the kind of broken pieces in some of the more intact section of which you saw. It doesn't remind you of anything Niyogi based.
None of that technology. Okay, well, I chuck it back at Shaft. Ugh! That thing drains me of my lightning! I don't want this!
It's a lightning drainer?
I don't know, it's like... I don't know, it just took some of my energy from me.
It's
Dang
fascinating. Yes, there's something about it. I can't quite tell what it is, Shaft. I would just hang on to it.
Are you all finished playing with the disc?
Well, yes.
I wasn't playing.
I think speaking of items we've picked up, we should probably retrieve that eye.
We have vines attacking the city.
Yes. I was admittedly curious about who these people we just killed are, but perhaps we don't have the time.
Well, if Falzarin thinks he has the time, he can get the eye.
Clearly there's history among some of you. He kind of motions over to Erica, which her body's still quite far away from where you landed and down to Chucky. And he then kind of turns to me out, well, what would that creature want with you?
I don't know. But yeah, you're right. They didn't seem to really want to kill me.
Kralakina, that creature in the pentagonal structure, it wants you as well?
What, Kralakina wants me?
That is what she said, yes.
Mayhaps to use against Thor.
I have some suspicions. I mean, Mia, you have some celestial heritage. Perhaps there's something to do with that.
I was too busy fighting. I didn't even hear that part about the Kraken. Ugh.
Yes, we need to be careful, one way or another.
And it doesn't seem like they have a replacement vessel as he turns to Shaft.
No.
Why you of any of us?
Must be something in our bloodline. We're good vessels.
There is power in heritage.
Yeah.
That's
And a
Just
name.
like names. I've heard that too, yes.
Maybe they needed a creature that would fit in the barrel. Halflings are small.
Oh, true.
Well, that's very reductive.
Yeah. That is a good point, yeah.
That is a bit reductive.
So, I do have a couple other things we may want to look at before we take off, just to see if it might be of some value. And I reach in and I pull out Surma's wand, and I hand it over to Falzarin.
What is this?
This is what I used down when we were taking a little swim.
Ah, so this is responsible for those interesting little friends that talked about.
Maybe if somebody knows how to use it, it might come in handy. Maybe you can kill some weeds with it.
Well, I certainly can take a look and perhaps deduce what it does. It looks like some sort of wand.
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll an Arcana check. And yeah, as he hands it over to you, it's this twisted, like, ebony tentacle shaped into a wand.
That is a nat 20. So that would be a 27, I want to say? 26.
Yes, you absolutely, this is a wand, and it does serve as, like, an arcane focus. And it makes sense, like, if Surma was a spellcaster, that she would be using this. It's very clear that it was used to channel power similar to what you've been granted by Isabella, like a warlock. Like, you can clearly tell this is what... Because Surma was using this specific type of wand, that she was a warlock, and she was wielding similar power to what was granted, or what can be granted, right? That both you and Shakara take advantage of.
So what's it do?
So it doesn't necessarily have any...
Doesn't have any specific magical properties. And as you hold it in your hand, it does seem, again, much like the disc while you were touching it and examining it, inert.
Is it valuable?
I would assume it has some value. Now, how would it have done anything for Shaft if it's inert?
Good question, Falzern.
So I hand
That
my hand out.
bloodline.
You know,
Take it
Shaft, and I give it back to him. Thinking about what I've learned about it,
Are you trying to split
I
the
wonder
party?
if perhaps it had a charge and you used the last one. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense that it would have worked for you earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll see if somebody else can figure it out. And I sort of tuck it into my jacket, and I pull out a different one. This one is sort of it's black, and it looks a little
Yes.
different. I go, does this one do anything? And this is the one that I got from Sybil.
So I think I would recognize this wand, would I not?
Yes, all of you have seen Sybil constantly. Every time you saw Sybil, she is nervously fiddling with this wand. R.I.P. Sybil Siblings. So yeah, you 100%
F's in
recognize
chat.
it as being her. F's in chat.
So for sure, Shaft was using the other
Yes,
wand.
he was using
though.
Surma's wand.
Like,
earlier.
okay.
Yeah.
My, you do have quick fingers.
Hey, if this can help us, it's we can use it. If not, then I'm gonna do what I do best and see where I can get the most money out of this thing.
That sounded like a proposition, Shakara.
Definitely did. Now I'm all worried about what Shaft is. What?
So Falzern, you could do a similar check on this wand, and you come to basically a kind of a very similar conclusion that it's an arcane focus, right? And you can tell that the power in which was wielded with it is akin to your wizard abilities, right? Like, it was this wand. This is a wizard's wand.
Okay. Whereas Surma's wand was more of...
Yes, again, Surma's more specifically came from another source outside of the arcane traditions that wizards practice.
So will this one help?
Well, Shaft, this is more similar to something a wizard like myself would use. We call it an arcane focus. It doesn't necessarily have any power in and of itself, but it could be used by a wizard to help them stabilize their power and access it. I would assume it has some value. I wouldn't throw it away or discard it.
All right, well, you can hang on to it for now. We'll talk about splitting
Sure.
it later.
That's fair.
That's all I got. I don't think I have anything else that that would come in handy. Anybody else have anything?
I mean, the eyeball, I dropped
I
it.
have nothing.
I don't really want to figure out this arm right now. I mean, this vine is growing faster every minute.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out anything we can do to kill it with what we have. And if we don't have any options, then I guess we just fly up there and see what we can do.
This eye should be on our way back. I don't see why we can't make a quick dip down to grab it. We just need to retrace the path that we came.
Yeah, you can find it. That's not a problem.
I jump up on the Pegasus and then I pat behind me and go, "Come on, Drag, hop on, buddy."
Dreg gets on. So everyone but Shakara has no problem hopping on their Pegasus. Shakara, you want to make me a dexterity saving throw to get on? As it, again, almost like that involuntary reaction from this beast.
7?
It bucks you right off, and you fall to the stone. No damage, though. I mean, your armor would reduce any of the minimal damage you take anyways, really.
Get up, and I'm not looking at the others. I don't want to see any judgment in their eyes. And I will walk up to the front of the Pegasus. Please, we need your help. We all need to defeat these vines and save the city.
Could Mia say something to the
Sure,
Pegasus?
so
or communicate to Herafina,
I'll get
maybe?
Shakara to roll me a persuasion check. And Mia, if you want to aid her and say something as well, you can absolutely do that.
For sure.
What would Mia say?
I would just see what happened and think to myself, Herafina, Thor, she's helping. I don't know why you don't want her to come with us, and I don't know why you have a problem with her, but just, we need her help. Let her ride the Pegasus.
What is your check, Shakara?
17.
You see, I mean, it's very clearly like this intelligence eyes that make contact with you as you were speaking to it, Shakara. And it gives its head a slight bow as you finish speaking to it. And you can attempt to climb back on if you'd like.
I will.
And it seems to have no problem with you climbing aboard.
Good. Okay. And I will tentatively kind of rub its neck. Say, thank you. Quietly to it.
As you do, those Dendar brands on your forearm they begin to light up, right? And as you're kind of stroking the Pegasus's mane, they begin to dim. And kind of this heat beneath your hand, almost originating from the Pegasus itself, kind of seeps into your palm as the light recedes from your brands. But other than that, nothing else happens. The Pegasus doesn't buck you off. It doesn't seem to have any negative reaction to your strokes.
Do I feel any different?
You feel... I don't know. How would you feel? There's no physical effects on you currently, but it's very strange.
Yes, it was very strange.
Is this a permanent dim, or just momentary?
Well, her brands themselves don't always shine. It's just, as she's taking this action, they light up, and the effects of this Pegasus seem to dim their effect.
Kind of like the two sides fighting?
Oh, kind of, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I will kind of look around, make sure nobody else saw that.
Okay.
I would like to make a contested perception check.
Too late.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Okay, what's happening?
I think you were about to say that Falzarin's scabulet
We're flying.
also lighted up and fell off onto the floor.
Light it up.
And light it up.
Well,
Light it
despite the physical rooting of your scabulet and power granted to you, mentally, you're not quite as accustomed and taking advantage of it like Shakara is. So that's kind of where the difference lies.
Gotcha.
Obviously, nothing your characters would necessarily know, right? Because most of this is between Shakara and herself, kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. She, herself, and her.
Yep, and the Pegasus now too.
So let's go check out these vines.
Fly a kite
I've had that in my head as well.
up to the highest
Giddy up!
height.
And again, effortless grace in these Pegasi taking flight. As even through your whole short rest, they haven't been on the ground. Like I said, they don't like to be on the ground. They've been up and alight. And you've kind of were able to call them down back as you're ready to get on it and get out of here. Be flying up into the storm? How high
Yes.
do you think you want to go?
How high is the
How high is the
dome?
storm?
Where are the vines?
Well, you said the peak of the dome is 150 feet, right?
Yeah, that's what Dreg said, yeah. And the storm is, several hundred feet above that. It's not incredibly low-lying like the conjuration from Mia's thing, right? But if you're afraid of the cannon's range, you wouldn't know what the range of the cannons are, but you have seen them being fired from at least 300 feet away and hitting a target.
We fired him
Ooh.
before.
You have, but
Yeah,
you
true.
were less than 100 feet away from what you were shooting at, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's
Okay.
safest to give a very, very, very wide berth to this army and the cannons, and fly high and then come back down on top of the dome, sort of thing.
Okay. You can do that. Why don't you all make me a handling check, though, as you get closer to this storm. Still strikes of lightning coming down that are not being controlled by Mia. Clearly another entity's form of stormation.
Oh, snap. Mia can handle her animals.
15 for Falzern.
It's a 24.
13 for Shaft.
12 for Shakara.
You are all fine. Now it seems these Pegasi are getting accustomed to you as their riders. As even the short time that you've been with them, there seems to be some kind of bond maybe be forming between you and them. And with
yes.
some of the knowledge checks we had previously for some of them, anybody that had rolled above that 14, you also kind of know because of their intelligence, that's kind of what these creatures do, right? They're obviously very accustomed to or they're drawn to those of good alignment, but they're also very quick to bond with said riders.
I name mine Peggy.
I like it. Peggy 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Wow.
I'm half. Peggy half.
Half Peg. You're a half
No.
You're one and a half.
You're a half Peg.
1 and a half with Drag on there with you.
Well, that's true.
1.5
Yeah,
Peg.
but he's not
Okay.
part of the party, right?
No.
So you can get up and over and down below you as you come down, kind of out of, the lowest lying of these clouds above the city. You see the mass of the forces in the encampment now gathering around the cannons, as it seems they're just watching these vines take place and preparing the attack, basically, to swarm in against them once they hope, of course, the shell is destroyed.
Does anyone look like they're in charge?
It doesn't. Well, from this height, I mean, you can't pick out any individual people really, but it doesn't. It's just like this front line of people. And I will say, when you were first witnessing the actual vines being summoned, this same kind of front line had already started to form, right? So as possibly they're acting on orders that they were given before some untimely deaths of the people that were leading. But anyways, you come down to the top of the dome and you can see that the vines have made it just over halfway coverage of this dome. And that's still this crisscrossy coverage. So it's not exactly 50% of the dome is completely blacked out by these vines, but the growth itself has at least reached about to the midpoint of this curve of the dome, right? Still patches of the vines trying to grow and split and work their way into to completely encompass this shell. As you fly down, you are unimpeded by any cannon fire or anything like that. Almost able to use the storm as cover coming up and around this encampment, right? And so do you want to dip right down to the shell itself? How close do you want to get to the vines? Are you landing on the shell? What would you like to do?
I'd want to stay probably 20, 30 feet above and watch the vines, see how they're growing, what they're doing, just to get an idea.
That makes sense. As you get close, this 20 to 30 foot hover above them, you can see that where they're splitting, it's almost like they split, reach, and then they begin to wither. This kind of dark green comes and fades into more of a gray and a black, almost if they're like you're watching a time-lapse piece of fruit rot before your eyes. But then there's kind of this resurgence of growth that overlaps the decaying section, and it repeats. It's almost like it's kind of coming in waves of growth as these tendrils are reaching out, dying, and then what's growing from behind it catching up to the end of the growth, right, and then resurging it a few inches further. So still visibly able to see the growth and the progression it's making, but clearly the atmosphere is affecting it. It's being affected by something, and from your readings, it's clear that it is the air is. It's not doing well in the air. Shall we... I can fireball.
Do you believe it will have any effect?
I do not know. Will it slow this growth? I mean, look at it. It's clearly struggling.
Would it
It might burn the dead stuff.
be better to fireball at the base?
That is a good question. That would mean getting close to the front line and the cannons.
We should find out what elements affect it.
Yes, it might not be a bad idea to use some of our, perhaps, cantrips to test out what it might be vulnerable to. I could use a fire-based cantrip and see how it reacts.
I could try and make friends with it.
Can you speak to plants?
I could speak kindly to it.
Oh my goodness.
Soothing.
Well, Dreg kind of like takes what you say, Faldrin, and he kind of like chuckles to himself. Perhaps I've been out in the field for too long. That's a much more sensible choice.
Okay, so why don't I try that? I will target some of these vines and shoot a firebolt at it. See what sort of reaction I get to that.
Absolutely. And the spot that you hit very quickly burns away, and so the new growth that's surging catches, right, and burns, burning away to reveal the decay beneath, and then that continues to burn. And the spot in which, kind of this smallish radius, just because of it's a firebolt, right? This radius around the impact point, the growth, because the growth is always making progress. The growth no longer makes progress where you've damaged it here. And then a few seconds pass and it catches back up, kind of thing, right? Can you understand what I'm trying to
it
depict
stalls
here?
it for a bit.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And then that wave of resurgence growth overtakes the spot that you've damaged, and it continues to make its progress across the safety shell.
Well, it certainly hinders it, but I'm not sure we have the firepower to completely stop the growth over the city.
What about your dragon?
At least not from up here. I do think if we could get to its source, get to the base of these vines, we might be able to damage them fully enough to halt the growth, but there's too many of them down there. We would be overwhelmed by all of the cultists.
What about the cannons that we have inside the city if we were to take the dome down? The cannons can shoot fire.
You suggest we go into the city, drop the dome, and fire...
I don't know. I'm just spitballing
activating it before the army hits the city? That seems very risky.
Okay, then let's go steal some cannons and man them from outside the walls.
I think it'd only slow it down, really. Can you freeze it? How does light...
You want me to try to
affect it?
freeze it?
I'll cast a ray of frost and see if we can observe what that does to it.
And so you hit one of these tendrils, and at this point, the tendrils, they're still the thickness of an arm kind of thing. They're still very thick, and if they were to get a hold of you, you feel like it's almost like the size and thickness of a constrictor snake or something, right? As they're kind of wiggling. That's maybe what it reminds Shaft, that fear of snakes, I'm sure.
I'm staying 20 to 30 foot away, so I'm
But your
okay.
frost hits one of these tendrils, and it immediately freezes from the impact, and the freezing effect goes up this tendril a couple of feet, freezing it. And where the resurgence of growth happens, right, from the point where it's unfrozen backwards, almost down this tendril, the atmospheric effect is almost amplified as it begins to decay, even pressing against the growth resurgence, until finally the effects, like the ice, it kind of shatters and melts away, and that growth again stalled out, but over time comes back.
Well, we know that dealing cold damage to this and fire damage both are effective, but the scale that we would need, I think we need to cut it off at its source. But we're back to the same problem. There's too many of them down there. We can't take on an entire army.
Those cultists have no leadership, at least. I mean, Here, let me try. And I, like, pick my hammer up. Am I close enough to, like, touch it, or would I have to chuck my hammer?
Well, if you're up with Shaft,
At
you
the
could
vines.
throw it and hit the vines.
I'll just throw my hammer at the vines and see what lightning does.
And at the impact point of your hammer, a very similar effect happens. It's seeming like damaging it slows the progression. And maybe some types of damage are more effective than others, but any bit of that damage hinders the growth.
Falzarin, do you have a bigger cold spell?
I could cast Sleet Storm. I have 2 scrolls. It's not going to cover enough area.
I think whatever we throw at it is just going to slow it down. What? I got an idea. Why don't we take this mirror that I got back to Erica's dead body, and then one of us go into the camp and tell them to stop doing it. Stop the growth.
I like that plan. What would be our reasoning for...
I don't know. They're not going to question Erica, are they?
Perhaps
I
not.
do not know.
Are we able to use the mirror to turn into other people?
Yeah, you just
Like
got to hold it.
Chucky?
I think you got to hold it in front of
Sardo.
somebody's face for a while, right? That's the way it
That's
worked
right.
before.
We could all become Thunder McScruggins.
To what point?
To blend in. We look like cultists. Just look dumb like him.
I mean, obviously we don't have the power to stop what's already happening. We just have to somehow make it stop coming out of the damn
What
pit.
if they cannot stop it either? What if, once it's started, there is no stopping?
I don't know. Maybe if somebody goes in as Erica, we can find out.
I feel like they could at least shoot the cannons at it, you know? Like right at the pools.
Yeah, maybe she could tell them to do that.
Well, why don't you fly back and you become Erica? And Falzarin and Dreg could stay here and shoot spells at it to slow the growth.
That could work.
That is an option. I don't like to split up, but...
Well, I got Dreg on my back here. I don't think we're going to be able to slow it down that much. I mean, from the time he hit it with the spell to the time it started regrowing, does it seem like it would be a wasted effort to sit there with a cantrip and continue to just beat on this thing slowly
with
in
a
pieces?
bigger spell. If there was a bigger spell they could use.
Well, he's only got so many spell slots. He has
Yeah,
to use
from the point of
cantrips.
impact, depending on, like, there's a variance between the types of damage, but anywhere between 5 and 15 seconds of waiting for their growth to catch back up after impact.
Oh, that's not worth
Cantrip
it
a second. In no time, I'll have
So
the
it's
whole
like cantrip,
thing
cantrip,
cleared.
cantrip.
Yeah, okay. Just doesn't buy you
Cantrip
that
every
much
6
time.
seconds.
then. No.
Okay, guys, I look at Peggy. I think we need to go down there.
I think it's our only option at this point, unless there's some
We
way
should
to
have used the
burn this
mirror
up.
during our short rest. I hate that stupid armor. Wasted all my time.
I just thought about it.
I know,
Yeah,
me too.
the idea
Just-
hadn't occurred to me either.
Stupid hunchback.
Let's go. And I turn the Pegasus around and head back to try to find Erica's body.
Okay, yeah, you can definitely get back up into the storm. For the storm, let's make some more animal handling checks. Unless you would not care about using it as cover and you'd want to risk flying over the encampment.
I wasted my 20 on this. I got 23.
16.
13 again.
All right, you are all fine and can, yes, easily get back to Erica's body. And it just takes you 10 minutes to capture her likeness in the Mirror of Metamorphosis.
Let's
Okay.
capture Sardo and Charles.
It's only one at a time, is it not?
Yeah, it is 10 minutes per capture.
But it can only hold one person's image?
No, it can hold, but remember, it only has
holds it
5
forever.
charges.
Oh,
How many have we used?
I do believe you've used 2.
So Erica would be 3 and Sardo would be 4.
Yeah.
So somebody... Shaft and Falzarin can become Erica and Sardo. And the rest of us will stay up high out of sight.
Hand him the mirror. There you go.
But-
Go to town, buddy.
but Falzarin looks like a cultist. I don't want to sit in the in the back
Then
seat of
Mia,
this.
you become either Erica or Sardo.
Falzarin shrugs and I'm happy for you to do it if you'd like to, Mia.
Well, couldn't you just wear someone else's robe and come with us?
I could try, yes. Yeah, I could try to blend in.
Then Drag and I will stay up out of sight.
So you've taken 20 minutes to capture Erica's and Sardo's image, right?
That's the plan. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, you're
Correct.
So Mia, you're going to change into Erica. Shaft, you're going to change into Sardo.
Other
Well,
way.
I thought it was opposite. Yeah.
Sorry. Whatever.
Does it really matter?
Yeah, because I want to do the talking.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, exactly. John's gonna do the talking.
All right.
play
so
our strong
Shaft.
suits here.
Shaft is Erica.
Yeah, exactly.
Mia is Sardo.
And that's our show. If you're not already, be sure to follow us at IncorrigiblePar on Twitter, Incorrigible Party on Instagram and Facebook, and you can go to incorrigibleparty.com for world lore and PC information, and we've recently started adding some maps there as well. Incorrigible Party is generously sponsored and made possible by Critical Hit Design. For any of your design needs, visit criticalhitdesign.com. All ambient sound and music is provided by Tabletop Audio, and our intro and outro music was created by Josh Jarvis. You can reach him at jamesmercymusic@gmail.com. Happy adventuring!